Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be diving in deeper to one of my favorite subjects, which happens to be codependency. Watch this video. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, please click the little subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications when I release new videos. And if you've been with me for a while, thank you so much and welcome back. Today, I'm going to be diving right into the topic of codependency, but I really want to focus on the dependency part today because I work all week long with clients who either have codependency or think that they do, or resonate with the term highly sensitive or empath and have some boundary issues around it with relationships or just with self and life. So I kind of want to dive in a little bit deeper with some of the things I've been discussing in this week's sessions, I guess I should say. So one of the things that we can probably all agree on is if we're dependent on someone or something for a sense of self, it's because we haven't learned to self-validate, but it's also because we didn't get that validation of self, or mirroring, I like to call it, from a really young age, or not in the way that we needed. So the thing is, before we learn to self-validate, we are constantly looking for external sources of validation for ourselves to be able to own our own power, right? For ourselves to own our own truth, to even trust what we even think and feel, so that we can start to trust our own perception. This topic of perception has been so big lately in my work, and we cannot trust our perception of reality if we don't trust ourselves and if we have self-doubt. So there's this cycle that goes on, right? And so one of the things with codependence, right, people who suffer or struggle with codependency, is that we just don't believe in ourselves. So because we don't believe in ourselves, we become a vulnerable target for people who can sort of mold us and make us what they need us to be for them, right? The other side of codependency. And when that happens, we have this uncertain identity even more and more and more, because we're not molding into our authentic self. We're molding into a idealized version of self, or a false self, or just a controlled self, right? So the scary part about this is a topic most people don't talk about, probably because the reason they didn't put it together or they don't know the reason. But what I notice with a lot of codependency is people get really sick and feel really stuck. And I see that many codependent people get sick so that they almost make themselves dependent so that they can get the need met that isn't being met by the person they're in relationship with. And so they almost make themselves unable to care for themselves just to get care from another. And I want you to take that in for a minute, because that's a big deal. I'm going to not care for myself, and maybe I don't even know how to, because I really need the love and care from another. And so I'll be sick just so I can ensure that I get that care and that attention. That's the dependency I mean, where I'm not going to depend on myself to take care of my own needs, to validate self and love self. I still need to get it from somewhere else before I can even come into self. So the scary part about this cycle of needing to get validation or confirmation of self, or whatever, there's so many different versions of this, from another, is we usually pick another who's actually also dependent, right? So codependency is when I'm dependent on someone who's not dependable because they're dependent on either another or a substance or something like this. So codependency gets really scary when we are in a relationship with someone that we are dependent on who is not dependent because they're dependent on a substance or a person. Really look at this pattern for you. If you believe that you relate to this, look at the person or the thing that you are dependent on. Is it actually dependable, or is it emotionally unavailable? Or is it an addict? Or is it someone else, like a narcissistic type, who's very dependent on external validation, or what we like to call supply as well? If you're depending on someone like that who's depending on an external, then you're doubled up on external validation, which could feel good in the moment, but it feels like shit overall because you're never depending on you. You're never depending on source. You're depending on people and false idols to give you a strong sense of self. But it's never a strong sense of self. It actually feels awful. It also feels powerless. It also feels just uncertain most of the time. This roller coaster of identity that so many people want to get off of and don't know how to. And so people ask me, how do I start to heal this? I can't just leave my relationship, or I can't just change my ways. I say, no, but what you can do is start loving the part of you that is dependent. Instead of, so often people say, I shouldn't be by now, or this should have changed, or I should be over it. I say, well, you're not. So as you guys know, you got to get real about how you feel so you can heal. So what would this mean in this particular scenario? It would mean I have to get real about the part of me that is dependent on others and not judge it, but accept it and understand that this is a need I never got met, and this is the best way I can see myself going about getting it done until you learn a Candace Van Dahl technique, one of the many, and you start to apply self-validation. The first step in this type of self-validation is by saying, I validate the fact that I never got what I needed to know who I really am, to really have that high self-esteem, that inner confidence, that sense of well-being that is anchored in worth, right? Loneliness is a big part of codependency as well, because we are still not integrated with our inner child, because our inner child didn't get mirrored. So it's looking out there for a mirror instead of in here to be mirrored from the truth of the self. So to cure, I would say, loneliness, we have to really do that inner child work so we can integrate our head and our heart. So often people say to me, Candace, I get it here, but I don't feel it. Why? Why can't I feel that way? Why do I still have emotional triggers? Why does things still come up for me? Because you haven't done the integration work. You're understanding it, but you haven't allowed your feelings to have a voice. You haven't allowed your inner child to say how it feels and what it went through, so you can validate the perception of the young one inside to upgrade it into a more conscious version. A lot to take in. I might suggest after this video doing a little EFT, a little emotional freedom technique of anything that just feels up for you if you really think that you may be codependent or suffer from codependent patterns. Many of the feelings of codependency is powerlessness and loneliness and unworthiness and uncertain identity. So if any of those ring true, there's many EFTs on YouTube. You can find some on mine as well. Just to release some of that right now and to really start to validate the part of you that feels dependent. Understanding it, not making it wrong. That is step one. Step two, after you love the part that needs the love the most, right? The dependency. Why are we dependent? Because we need something we didn't get. We're not wrong for not getting our needs met, but we often make ourselves wrong because we think we are the reason. And if there wasn't something wrong with us, we would have gotten what we needed. But that's not true because we live in a material world that's very unconscious. So most of us didn't get everything we needed. And if we did, we're one of the lucky ones. So for the point of this talk today, I just want you to think about those points that I said about being dependent on someone who's not dependable, number one. Number two, looking externally for validation of self to people that are just looking externally. Number three, making yourself helpless or sick so that you have to be dependent on someone so that someone will love you, take care of you, and give you that need that you have that never got met. Just look at how the subconscious mind works. Look at how we, create these coping mechanisms to get something we didn't get and don't know how to get it. And also, lastly, just realizing that if I self-validate and I don't make myself wrong for being this way or feeling this way or having this pattern, but instead I come towards the part of me that I'm running from, something is going to change in your favor. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please share with one person you think, at least one person you think could benefit from this. Also, please check the links below. The shadow work waitlist is down there. Emotional rehab will be launching again next year as well. Truth Room Tribe, my monthly membership. Get on that. I will see you guys every Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific time if you are in my Truth Room Tribe, and there'll be a whole bunch of new content for December coming soon. So please check out Truth Room Tribe monthly membership. It is probably the most affordable and also the most community building aspect of my work that I really want to grow more and more and more, so more and more of us empaths, light workers, highly sensitive people can connect from around the world. It's pretty amazing, and I think we all need more of that right now. So please check those links, please share this video, please follow me on Instagram so for my little daily updates, and please share anything you feel like you want to share in the comments below. I love you guys and have a great week.